Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video here on the channel. This past weekend was the Madison Regionals, which in turn was pretty much the second premier event to have Unbroken Bonds legal for tournament play. Everyone expected Reshizard to come out on top of the tournament, which in all fairness, Reshizard players were on top of their game. Of course, one reaching second, one reaching third place in the tournament. However, a different fire deck came out on top. One, in fact, that many people had disregarded and acknowledged as a quote-unquote bad deck. And of course, I am talking about Blacephalon GX. So before we get into the deck, I want y'all to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload, and follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/NoLeaksLouiee so you never miss any live content. Of course, that link and the rest of my socials are in the description below, so make sure to check that out. And with all that good stuff out of the way, let's get into the Blacephalon GX deck that won Madison Regionals 2019. So Blacephalon GX is going to be the main focal point. We're playing 4 copies of this guy, 180 HP Fire type Ultra Beast. Very important to note that as well. Bursting Burn is the first attack for 1 fire. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused. Mind Blown is the attack for 2 fire, does 50 times. Put any amount of fire energy attached to your Pokemon in the Lost Zone. This attack does 50 times the amount of cards put in the Lost Zone this way. And then Burst GX for 1 fire, discard one of your prize cards. If it's an energy card, attach it to one of your Pokemon. Of course, weak to water at this point in time. I mean, there's a few water decks out there. I think I would want to say it's a few water evolutions teched into other decks, I guess is the best way of saying. But it's not necessarily a sole archetype of just water running around at the moment, so that's something to note. No resistance and a 2 retreat cost. Now we need to support this guy the best way that we can, and of course the most known partner for Blacephalon is Naganadel. So 130 HP Psychic type Ultra Beast, again something to note here. The ability is charging up. Once during your turn before you attack, you may attach a basic energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Turning Point is the attack for 3 colors, does 80 plus. If you have exactly 3 prize cards remaining, this attack does 80 more damage, equaling up to 160. Weak to Psychic, no resistance, and a 1 retreat cost. So those are going to be our 2 main attackers. Now we just need a bunch of support to make sure that our deck functions a little well, while also disrupting our opponent at the same time. So I guess we can talk about the Alolan Muck, 120 HP, Psychic type. Here for the ability, Power of Alchemy. Each basic Pokemon in play in each player's hand and in each player's discard pile has no abilities. So this is going to be shutting down Jirachi from Team Up. It's going to be shutting down Let Loose Marshadow. It's going to be shutting down the other Marshadow. It's going to be shutting down anything else that's a basic Pokemon that has an ability, which is very, very important. A little bit of disruption on our opponent. Of course, we are playing 1 Grimer to get into that, but of course we are playing a Ditto Prism Star with the ability Almighty Evolution. Once during your turn, you may put any stage 1 from your hand onto this Pokemon to evolve it. You can't use this ability during your first turn or the turn this Pokemon was put into play. So the thing with this is it's basically a second Grimer or it's a 4th Polpoint, because we are of course playing 3 Polpoints leading to the Naganadel. And then the last Pokemon that we're playing in this deck is going to be 2 copies of Let Loose Marshadow, 70 HP Psychic type, here for the ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may have each player shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 4 cards. So it works a bunch of different ways. You can disrupt your opponent, you can redraw if you're not having the best hand out there. Things of that nature, you know, usually, and this is how I like to say it in a lot of videos when I cover something that involves Marshadow Let Loose, is if your opponent has something along the lines of Rayquaza GX or Trampa GX that lets them have a big hand size or a Beacon Vulpix or something like that, that you know your opponent's going to be taking advantage of the following turn, Marshadow is here to stop that. So that's my way of explaining it. But that's it for the Pokemon lineup. It's very standard, very straightforward, not too much, nothing too flashy, which is good. Going into supporters, we're playing 4 copies of Cynthia, our standard shuffle draw in the deck. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. Then we're playing 4 copies of Lily, draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. So usually in this deck, because you have a lot of things that you can discard in the form of like Ultra Ball, Heat Factory, Mysterious Treasure, you tend to play your hand size a little bit down, and then you can take advantage of using Lily to draw cards. Pretty much consistency is the key in this deck. Then we're playing 3 copies of Guzma. Switch your opponent's bench Pokemon if they're active. If you do, switch your active with one of your bench. Of course, a Gust effect there. And the final supporter that we're playing is going to be 2 copies of Welder, brand new supporter from Unbroken Bonds. Attach up to 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you do, draw 3 cards. So not only are you attaching energy to your Pokemon, but you are also drawing cards for your deck, so it's a little bit more consistency in the whole thing that I've been covering already. But that's the supporter lineup. It's very standard, very small, no Acerolas, no Judge, nothing fancy. It's very straight to the point. We are playing 3 different stadiums in this deck, which is pretty cool. Starting off with Heat Factory Prism Star. Once during your turn, each player's turn. So basically you and your opponent can use it at the same time. That player may, or not at the same time, but during their respective turns. That player may discard a fire energy card from their hand if they do draw 3 cards. So again, it's the consistency that I keep mentioning, very similar to Scorched Earth that we had in standard rotation, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And of course, Prism Star stadiums, they are not affected by anything item or supporter trainer related. So you can't field blower this, for example. The only way to get rid of it is, of course, with another stadium. I think you can get rid of it with the new Marshadow, though. I could be completely wrong, because right here it says item or supporter. The new Marshadow actually discards the stadium while it's on your bench, so you can get around that there as well, because I know that's been seeing quite a bit of play recently. 1 copy of Lysander Labs. Pokemon tool cards in play, both yours and your opponent's, have no effect. Now, we're not playing anything special or anything like that, like the form of like Choice Band, so it is kind of negating that into play as well. Also negating things like spell tags, which is going to be very, very important, because chip damage on your Pokemon is just never good to see, because it kind of puts your Pokemon in KO range, to be honest. And then finally, the last stadium card we're playing is 1 copy of Ultra Space. Once during either player's turn, that player may search their deck for an Ultra Beast card, reveal it, and put it into their hand. So this, you can search out for Blacephalon, not you, Pulpoi, and Naganadel. So it's your 3 main attackers, well, your 2 main attackers. You can search out a total of, what, 10 cards out of that, which is really, really good. You're going to need that. Sometimes you may not have the best hand to start off with, so Ultra Space opens up the door for you to do a lot of things like that. Going into the item cards and the regular trainer cards that we're playing that are not stadiums, 4 copies of Beast Ring. Again, this is another card to take advantage of Ultra Beast, so keep that in mind. You can only play this card if you have 3 or 4 prize cards remaining. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy and attach them to one of your Ultra Beasts, which again would be the Blacephalon, Pulpoi, Naganadel, things of that nature. 1 copy of Energy Switch, move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another. And then unique, this deck list only plays 1 copy of that, which is pretty cool. 1 copy of Field Blower, choose up to any 2 combination of tool or stadium cards in play and discard them. I would want to say that Weezing's running around a lot. I think spell tags are going to be the main focus there. But I mean, there's plenty of other things in the game that you may want to get rid of. Wishful Batons, Choice Bands, Choice Helmets, things of that nature. 3 copies of Mysterious Treasure. Discard a card from your hand. If you do search your deck for a Psychic or Dragon Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand. And shuffle your deck. So everything minus the Ditto and the Blacephalons is Psychic, so everything is basically searchable here. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand, and if you do search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand. Again, lowering down your hand size to take advantage of cards like Louiee, for example, is something great to note. But that's actually the last item card we're playing in the deck, because the rest of the deck at this point is energy cards. Almost a third of this deck is energy cards, because we're playing 15 basic fire energies, and we're playing the 1 of Beast Energy Prism Star. So this card provides colorless energy. When this card is attached to an Ultra Beast, it provides every type of energy, but provides only 1 energy at a time. The attacks of the Ultra Beast, this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, of course, before applying weakness and resistance. But this guy right here, you know, I watched the game. I watched the very end of the game, and it's pretty cool, because the little cute win conditions you don't think is ever gonna happen ends up happening. Like a couple months ago, it was the Towering Splash with Wailord and Magikarp. You know, nobody expected to see that, and they saw it, which was really phenomenal. In this case, it was a Burst GX to win the tournament, which is phenomenal. I think that's pretty cool. So Blacephalon GX is actually, you know, I wouldn't nowhere near call it a bad deck. Honestly, it has a good life to it. And oddly enough, no baby Blacephalon was included in this list as well. So that's something to note there. But yeah, Blacephalon GX, your Madison Regionals 2019 winner. So congratulations to, of course, the player that piloted this deck. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time for another video. Peace!